name's Ray Rosenberger. My address is 6232 North of Canterbury Road in Carmel. A question for you regarding the process and procedures. How will HR 811 impact the work that you have currently done? It's referred to as the Voter Confidence and Increased Accessibility Act of 2007, which was introduced into the House. So, can you tell me how that will impact you?
I am not familiar enough with the entirety of that issue in order to be able to adequately respond. I'm not sure if there's anyone else.
Mr. Rosenberger, just let me be clear, it's a bill that's been introduced, right?
That is correct. Well, yes.
It's in committee?
No, it's hard to describe where it's at this moment. Why on a daily basis, and supposedly it's going out for debate on the floor, and so I can't specifically tell you where it's at. You got us some really good contact. Yes. But everybody know, I've got to show it to you. It's about 40 pages long. So
What was the House pull number again?
the House HR 811. And it has to do most notably with paper trails and water trails associated with the council.
It's better known as the whole
Oh, okay.
bill.
All right. There you go.
Sorry.
I am somewhat familiar with the whole bill. Again, I haven't studied it in depth, so I can't give you an adequate response. But we can definitely get back, or someone will respond to you post this hearing. Yes,
I didn't sign, I didn't.
that's okay. You're fine.
Well, thank you for holding this hearing. I think it's great. My name is Marge Creech. I'm from 3972 Raccoon Valley Road, out in the country, in Alexandria, Ohio, not Virginia, Ohio, 43001. There's so much that I wanted to ask you, so I'll try to. I'm familiar with House Bill 811. Is that the right number? 811, yeah, whole bill. And so I have a follow-up question on that. And like the gentleman said, it does require paper trails, which we have in Ohio. We have paper trails even on the touchscreen machines, as you know. But it also requires audits, which would be, in this case, they mean primarily a counting of a certain percentage of, hand counting, a certain percentage of the, well, in the case of Cuyahoga, it's going to be the paper trail, which gets kind of tricky sometime when you're talking about counting that paper roll. And comparing it, a certain percentage, comparing that with the machine count and seeing if that's accurate, and if it's not within certain criteria. It's like a recount. That part of the audit is very similar to a recount. Comparing it, okay, my question and if it doesn't, what happens then? Is there a full hand recount? What happens then? Sort of like a recount in Ohio, as we have it now on the books. My question is, does Cuyahoga, do you Board of Elections folks support, if this doesn't pass, do you support an audit of this type? I guess that's it.
Okay. And I would, at this point, refer to one of our board members on that policy.
I will, Mr. Frost, but I can tell you, and I want to hear from Mr. Frost, there was an audit done of the there, in fact, was an audit done in the November 06 election, in which I was judge, and it was the closest race in Cuyahoga. And they did an audit, and I'm very confident about those results. Unfortunately, I still ended up losing that race. So I know that was something, it's an excellent question, because it was something the previous board decided to do along with Ms. Polk, and I don't know the name of the organization for the state. And it's something this board needs to discuss for this, how we're going to handle that. So that's my own position on it, and I'm not going to tell you exactly what this board is going to do. It's something we need to discuss.
Thank you, Chairman Gates. You took most of the response. I can only speak as one board member, and as Chairman of the board said, it is something we need to discuss in detail. But I, as one board member, would be very supportive of continuing what we started. There would be budget concerns on that. Last time, we had the fortune of members of the community willing to participate in that and having a very open process. If we continue to have that same type of cooperation in the community, it can be a very positive post-election process for us.
And maybe, I don't know, Mr. Howard, he probably doesn't know. I haven't heard this yet, but I've heard that the Secretary of State's office is planning to have an audit that would be Ohio, wide. But I don't think they've done much on it yet. But they're planning to hopefully by 08, hopefully by the primaries in 08. And so, I just wondered how Cuyahoga folks felt about it. I wanted to have another comment unless somebody wants to continue on this.
Joe, you want to respond to that?
Sure, I mean, I don't want to be redundant. I'm just saying, I don't think anybody could argue against having a paper trail and having an audit. I would never argue against that. So I guess, without, repeating what my colleagues have said, I think we have to find out what the Secretary of State's going to end up in terms of the testing and the proposed audit. And I think we need to look carefully at the legislation that's pending to see how that can access, and as a board, determine how we're going to proceed. But thank you for asking the question. It's something that's on our minds.
All right, I appreciate that. And I came in when, I can't even pronounce your name, Mr. Irizarry, right, I knew that, Mr. Irizarry, was discussing the DIMS registration system. And I believe that, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that stands for the Data Information Management System. And I thought maybe it stood for the Diebold Information Management System. And I thought, well, now that the name is Premier, maybe it'll have to be the PMS system. Now, because I see a lot of problems with it. I think it acts like it's on having a PMS problem sometimes. And you addressed some of those problems. And my next question is about a study that Vicki Lovgren did, I believe in 05, where she looked at the DIMS system. It's been around since 04. It was used in the 04 election. And it had, it has a lot of problems in it, and I know you addressed some of those problems. But I wondered if the other problems had been resolved. One that I can think of specifically, that, and this has also been found in a study done in Nevada, which also uses the DIMS registration system. And it seems like it doesn't interact that well with the GEMS system. We have DIMS and GEMS. GEMS being the tabulation, if I'm correct, the people tabulation system, that it doesn't always interface correctly because people have lost votes when those two in recording, the DIMS recording. But that's actually not my question. My question is, a problem it had before was when a voter changed their address or their name, say they got married or something, the DIMS system would generate a new voter ID number. And sometimes this series of ID numbers, I know a person who in Nevada was issued as many, 6 or 7, she kind of lost count, voter ID numbers, and one at least would have allowed her to vote in 2 precincts. I mean, she had 2 voter ID numbers. And those who are concerned about voter fraud as opposed to machine fraud, and I know there's some concern with that, someone could possibly assume the other ID number and vote for someone that they weren't. They weren't not that person. And so I think that's one of the serious problems with DIMS. I wonder if that glitch has been solved with a patch by Diebold. Does anybody know?
Do you know which county that is in Nevada?
Reno, Washoe. I've got more information if you want.
Yeah, I'd like for you to share that with me.
Sure.
What I can tell you is, since 2005, there have been a lot of changes. I cannot count the number of patches that have been put on the system. As for your question about multiple voter IDs, I do not have a definitive answer for you on that. We're just changing addresses. I believe that does not happen, but I will have to research that. I know that there is, for sure, at least one instance when another record is created, and that's if you convicted of a felony and you take it, you're canceled, when you're reactivated, that doesn't generate a new record. But that's one record's canceled and one's active. So, but as far as changing addresses, I do not believe that's the case, but I will finalize that.
Well, I'd like to, I can give you Vicki Lufgren's study, and you could, just off the top of your head, you could probably go through and say, okay, they fixed that, that's not a problem anymore. But some of the things might give you a red flag. And by the way, I've heard from fellow activists that this Board of Elections is excellent. I'm going to give you guys a little pat on the back, that you guys are really making every effort to count every vote. This is great. My comment, though, was I've heard this expression, a good worker never blames their tools. Now, I don't know who wrote that, probably a tool manufacturer, whoever said that quote, because I think it's one of the stupidest quotes, actually, the only one that gives me any money anyway. And, if I buy a good miter saw, for instance, electric miter saw that cuts very accurately, I'm going to do a much better job than if I'm using a little plastic miter box in the saw. So, I think you guys sometimes are using the little plastic miter box because it's what the choice you've been given to use. And so, I commend you on your trying to work with these tools and trying to find the problems and the glitches in these tools. And you've got your work cut out for you, but I really wish that we could have better tools to start with. That's about all. Thank you. I'll stay here then.
I haven't heard that quote before, but I appreciate the sense in which you brought it up. But I think I could probably speak for us as a board. We know that for the smallest ward council race in this county, or for the biggest race coming up next year, we can't come out at the end of election night and say, you know what, we can't give you an accurate result. And so that's what this is about here today, and that's what this whole process is. Thank you for that. That's a cool quote.
I appreciate you guys' work. It's not a good quote. Don't use it. I think good board people do blame their tools sometimes. Thank you.
And if there are issues that we're talking back and forth with during the question and answer period, and we haven't adequately answered your question, particularly about the whole bill, we are taking notes and we will get back to you, but if you haven't already, give us your name and your address, and I know you've sent on the record, and we'll probably take a note of that, but I do want to make sure that we have the right tools to respond and appropriately post this forum. Adele.
Hi. I want to get one piece of information. First of all, I want to thank Marge Peach for coming in from Columbus to be with us today. She's been a very active activist, very caring, and really in there knowledgeably working toward election reform for us all. So thanks, Marge. And more than that, I want to, or equal to that, I want to say thank you to this board and to this director for having this meeting. I only wish more activists who have been so concerned, especially since the 2004 presidential election and all the anomalies that were found, which led to our looking at electronic voting a lot more closely and being startled and alarmed by what we found. I only wish more election activists could see this process in motion. The fact that we can come into this room and know that we're not arguing and that we can breathe, literally that we can breathe, is a testament to you all. Someone said to me before this meeting, in fact, I'm not embarrassed to say that it was Beth Harris of Black Box Voting. Think about what it is that you might want from this meeting. And coming in, and I will have some more detailed questions possibly later because I understand that there will be more chances for that. But I know that after spending more than half of my life trying to get information or doing the research and writing about what I've seen, all unpaid, I know as I stand here that it truly is a new day regarding the people at the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections. Cuyahoga County is actually starting a model for how our boards of elections can be working with the public, not as public servants, but certainly not as public slaves, and in a real understanding of open cooperation and transparency. However, what I've seen in the last 3.5, 4 years regarding the vendor that is now making changes and helping with solving some of the problems, which is very much unlike what was happening for the past 3 years. A vendor who has been shown to be, their business entity is in great trouble. A business entity that has lied to us. A business entity that when we find problems that are built into the machines that seem to lead to be built to allow for election manipulation, and then say, well, you guys fix your procedures so that you can kind of band-aid our machines, which has been shown to be impossible. What I'd really like to see from today is some understanding that it is very important that we not continue to waste taxpayer money and time giving more and more chances to this company until they take on their own financial liability, until they take on their own quality assurance without having to be pushed, until they actually prove to us that they are trustworthy. What I would like to see post the California report, which I understand is going to be discussed, I would like to see Cuyahoga leading the way in Ohio to say, we've seen enough. Poor Sandy McNair, I've sent him all those emails of all those reports, and I have one of the New York reports, where an attorney submitted to the state of New York the exact same thing that I'm saying now. Why are we wasting all of this time trying to make things okay with debug equipment that has been proved to be unmitigatable, and a company that you and I as consumers would choose not to do business with? That's what I'd like from today. And I have just been told that my time is up. Thank you for listening. And I would like to later talk about other studies about the invalidity of paper trails, why they don't work, why there's no security at all, and why audits are not the solution either. Good step, but certainly not a solution to a security hold system. Thank you. Thank you, Adele.
I think I can speak loud enough without the mic. My name is Lang Dunbar, and I am a community activist as well as political activist. And I would like to thank the board, first of all, and also you, Director Black, for this opportunity to have this meeting this afternoon. Although, like Ms. Eisner, I wish that a number of our activists who were here before, and of course, perhaps if the meeting had been held in the evening, perhaps more would be succeeded. But that being said, 4 years ago, we came before the Board of Elections, not as it is constituted now, and I commend you for the steps you have taken. But we came before this board and we said, Depot is not what we want in Cuyahoga County. One of the things that with all that you are doing, until such time as the average voter in Cuyahoga County can have confidence in this electronic voting system, all the way way down the line. Until such time as that, there will continue to be with the voters of Cuyahoga County